My name is Michael Joesten. I am president and owner of Joesten Change Management. I am a human capital strategist, organizational development consultant, and executive coach. I've been in business for 15 years now and really in the area of personal development, growth, and change. I think it's really important to start with a common definition of what development is. The best definition that I have found comes from Peter Hawkins and David Clutterbuck. And the way they define development, it's when people are given the opportunity to gain the skills, knowledge, and understanding that the world requires of them that they don't currently possess. The only constant is change. And we're constantly experiencing these different levels of change. And what happens is that somebody who may have a high level of skill might find themselves in a new changed environment, and the current skills that they have just aren't enough for them to progress forward. They're not meeting the needs that the world is now placing upon them. Too often we rely on our employees' existing skill sets and think that that's enough to take us through all the different levels of change that we experience in a business, and it's just simply not true. Development really is about identifying what's missing, what is the piece that the person still needs so that they can meet the challenges of the new reality that they find themselves in. We start with where the person is at. What skill sets do they have? What are they good at? And we can begin there. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on those things. They're already good at those. But we've already determined that those things aren't enough. So then the next step is to determine where the person is going. Do we want this individual to just get better at their current role? Do we have an eye on them for the future where they're going to move into a more leadership role? Do we just want to see where their ceiling is? So we have to determine what the future is for that person. What are they missing that's not allowing them to step into that role? That's where we're going to spend a lot of our time. If you look at traditionally how management worked, it's been a very transactional arrangement between supervisors and employees. It's the idea of carrots and sticks. You do this, and then you're going to get this reward for doing that. That's the carrot. The stick is, if you don't do this, then something's going to be withheld from you, or you're going to be reprimanded, or you might even be demoted. Well, that's very transactional. That whole concept comes from a very industrial age that we just don't find ourselves in. What we do find ourselves in is a relational environment. In other words, everything we do, whether it's supervisor, employee, peer-to-peer, company to customer, everything is about the relationships that we form with them. If we question how do we determine what they need, we may have an employee who's great in the transaction arrangement. They're really good about setting expectations, rewarding good behavior, holding people accountable, but they may not be particularly good at creating relationships with other people. In order for them to move forward in their role, they need to get better at forming those relationships with their people. Relationship development becomes the focus of their individualized personal development plan. So the next steps are to determine what the development areas are, and then having agreements between the individual and the supervisor or leadership on who will be responsible and accountable for what. Also starts with asking the individual, what are you willing to commit to so that you can be more of a relational leader? Once that's agreed upon, then some of the next steps after that become mapping out. Step one, I'm going to take an online workshop on creating relationships with my employees. Step two is going to be to distill what I've learned from that, and I'm going to make a presentation to the executive leadership team about what relational leadership looks like. Step three then is going to be, I'm going to start implementing some of the things that I've learned through this workshop. And step four, I'm going to be checking in with senior leadership on what's working, what's not working, what needs to continue to happen in that development. It's also really important to write all of this out and have this written as a long-term plan that can be checked in with along the way. And the role then of the supervisor or executive leadership or outside consultants is to make sure that people are following through on. And not only are they following through on the things, but what are they learning through the process? What are they gaining? What are they still unclear about? what are some maybe next steps that they can take to really solidify this new development. So creating an individualized personal development plan is a pretty complex process, but that's where we come in. We're a boutique firm that really is able to meet your specific needs and, more importantly, meet the specific needs of your employees, so they're developing in a way that's going to benefit your company.